Let me tell you a secret. Certifications aren't just for landing jobs. In this video, we will share why certs still matter, how they help me fight imposter syndrome, and what really happens behind the scenes of a certification season.
Tell us, because you are the expert. You have about 11 of them. Well, you're working on your 11th certification, right? So why does it still matter for you? Why do you think it's so important? Because from where I stand, it's not.
It's not? Okay. A lot of people have the opinion that they're useless. Like, you don't need a cert to find a job. You don't need a cert to grow your career.
At least 10 years into your career, I don't think certification is necessarily the way to go. That's
okay.
I'm playing the devil's advocate.
All right, that's fair. So I use them as a confidence booster. So there are things that even 10 years into my career, I have to learn. Like, every year, my job changes. Literally, even if I stay in the same organization, the job, the responsibilities, it all changes. The expectations. How I've been using Terraform for like 6 years now. How we wrote Terraform code 6 years ago and how we write it now is completely different, because not only we become stronger at writing it and we have way more things implemented with it, but also the tool itself changes and improves. But then you have to revisit what you've done in the past and fix things. So anybody in tech has to commit to being a lifetime learner. And for me, setting myself up to get a cert makes sure that I cover things in a very deep way, that I don't just learn enough to get by. So if I see that it's something that I use a lot, and that is going to make a difference in my career in the next 2 to 3 years, I sit for a cert.
I have a question for you. You have 10 certs, and on average, they expire within 3 years. In your opinion, what are the certs that you think is important to keep alive, meaning to
renew,
recertify? What are the ones that you don't think is necessary to keep recertifying?
Okay.
In your case.
So in my case, I only recertify the ones that would be requested for a job that I apply to. So because I am like an AWS engineer and that's like my specialty, I know that they want me to have a Solution Architect Pro and a DevOps Pro. So those are the only two that I continuously refresh. But then I've never refreshed my Network Plus. I have refreshed the RHCSA because I got it for 2 versions of Red Hat. But like in the last 6 years, I've worked mostly with Ubuntu and Amazon Linux, so I haven't been recertifying the Red Hat related certs.
Okay.
And like now I'm at a point where I think I have enough years of experience with AWS where even if I stop recertifying my AWS Pro certs, I have enough credibility because I've worked on zillions of projects in AWS. So I felt it was time to move on. Like in the last 5 or 6 years, I only took AWS certs. So I was even getting bored. And for me, looking out and finding another cert in another domain was a way to like break that monotony. And it also shows that I'm willing to invest in learning for the future.
Yeah. So how about what other reasons you have for recertifying that you find is important for your career?
For recertifying?
Recertifying or
getting new certs.
Getting new certs in general.
So To be honest, I see them as a growth hack. So for me, the cert is not only it doesn't I don't do it so that I can make 20,000 more or 100K more. I do it because it gives me some finite amount of information that I should dominate. I know that because it's like an industry standard or something, people tend to do this, especially people with experience, tend to take them in 3 to 6 months. So I give myself a reasonable timeline to achieve them. And I know that that is going to create that certification season, as I like to call it, where I'm focused on that. And I kind of work backwards. I schedule the test 6 months ahead, and then I start doing the work to get it.
But to clarify, you don't necessarily do it for the money,
No.
but it does help.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It does help when it's time for, evaluation.
Oh, yeah, it's something I write out in my review every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the fact that my employer, or let's say if I'm interviewing, my future employer knows that I'm certifying, they know I'm still growing my career. Because people, especially people with many years of experience, they show up just with the experience. And the truth is, we're in a career that changes every year. So if you don't make it visible to people that you're not sunsetting yet,
Yeah.
they are gonna treat you like, yeah, you wanna continue growing, and maybe that shows that there's room for you in their organization.
Yeah, and also, like you like to say, studying and staying accountable to go deep enough in the material is two different things. When you are studying specifically for the certification, you have no choice than to go deep enough. Because I have this thing that I see with people, they usually learn about a product or a tool, but they learn it on a very surface level.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? And when you put a cert as the goal, it really helps you go in depth.
A lot of people believe that I'm just good at taking exams, and I am very far from that. I think I still get the same nerves I got with my first cert. I probably know I'm not gonna die, because at the beginning it felt like I could die. But I've learned to, like, yeah, I know the week of the cert I'm gonna be a hot mess. It's not gonna be fun to be around me, but I know that that's just part of that season. That's the rainy season inside my cert season. Mm-hmm. I know that it's the time where I isolate a bit more, and I just make it happen so that the next 6 months of the year I can have a blast.
Yeah. And how do you think it helps, or does it help with imposter syndrome in general?
I think it helps. Like, some people believe you're a legend just because you have the certs. I don't necessarily see it that way, but I think because it forces me to learn a lot about something, I show up way more confident. Like, I think after 5 AWS certs, for example, when AWS comes up with a new service, even if I don't know about it, I don't panic if somebody mentions it and I don't know about it. I know I am able to acquire this knowledge.
But seriously though, on a very slight tangent, do you still think 10 years in, at the level you're operating in tech, do you still think you have some imposter syndrome left?
Yeah, of course.
How come?
Listen, there is so much to know.
But you don't have to feel like an imposter. You can just not know it and not feel like that. Why do you think it still persists?
I think it persists because people have very different backgrounds. So, like, I work with people that are industrial engineers, electrical engineer. Like, they went and studied logic, like pure logic. I did not.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's probably the story that I tell myself. So I know it's something that even I could work on. But like, you're always going to feel like you lack something. But what you don't tell yourself is, hey, you lack this, but you have all these other things that person that knows all the logic, that has studied computer science and all that stuff, maybe they don't know these other things. So these differences make us who we are individually.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop the imposter syndrome.
Okay. Yeah, and the real learning doesn't stop at the job offer. You have to keep raising the bar, and some people raise the bar just by learning, and apparently you raise it by keeping up with certs and showing people how deep you're willing to go into the knowledge every time. I think this message carries far, because people now, you can build the reputation that you don't only learn things, you go deep into things when you know them.
I agree.
And I think that is gold for your career in general. Yeah.
Yeah, another thing is I've been really strategic with my certs. Like, the order in which I took them, those certs that I pursued. Like, some people couldn't understand why I took the Network Plus when I was already in RHCSA. And there's some certs that I don't even mention them in my curriculum. Like, I think if I show 11 certs on a resume, they're going to be like,
you're showing off.
You're showing off, or it's gonna rub them the wrong way, right?
Yeah. And
so,
it's gonna clutter the resume as well.
That too. So I'm a proponent of, you study for yourself, you learn for yourself. So
and you fill the gaps.
You fill the gaps. You mention whatever you think makes a good case for you, and the other stuff you don't.
Yeah.
I went and got a Network Plus because I wanted to be able to understand a VPC, and I think I do.
Yeah, so it helps. It
Yeah.
did the work. So from what I hear from Paloma is certs are not only for beginners. To me, from what I hear from Paloma and what I know, certs is also a way to show everyone, your employer, yourself, that you are not only willing to get the job, but you are willing to keep leveling up your skills and go deep into whatever it needs you need to learn as you grow in your career.